this is my craft shop, and my aim on this channel is to help you run your small handmade business. What I want to talk today about is money, which I think sometimes can be seen as a dirty word in the craft industry, and I've been wondering why that's the case. And I think it's because it's a sort of cosy industry. It often starts off as a hobby, and lots of you who are running businesses will be running alongside people who are doing it for a hobby. There are many people in the craft world who are wanting to make things, and they want to make more things, and the only way they can do that is by selling something. So a professional hot crafter is always sort of competing with a hobbyist, which is a problem actually, because they can keep their prices. They just need to cover the cost of the materials. They're not bothered about growing the business particularly or scaling up. So you know, you're talking about two different beasts. So I'm aiming it at the crafters out there who want to make it more than just a hobby, who want to actually make money from it, and that needs careful thinking about, and your money needs careful handling. So where should I start? Right, it's really important that you know where you are with your money, and I'm amazed at how many people drop work off with me, leave it for a few months, and then say, oh, what did I leave with you? They have no idea what they've left with me. Some people are on it to the absolute card numbers. You know, they know they've left 300 cards with me and not one more or one less. But other people have got no idea how much I've got of their work. And that's all money. You know, that stock is all money and materials that they've invested in. So you've got to track everything. Make sure your inventories are up to date. Make sure you know what you've got with each stockist. Make sure you know what you've got in your boxes ready to go to craft fairs and things. So keep track of everything. Keep track of everything you spend for the business and everything you buy for the business. And you know, there are so many apps now and so many ways of doing that. You don't need to collect bits of paper, so that should be fairly straightforward. So keep an eye on your money. There are different ways of doing this. I'm a big fan of a book called Profit First, and I'll ping the details there. The author talks really passionately about how we need to be looking at our money and how we need to put profit first, hence the name of the book. So normally in the past, we have always looked at, you have your sales and then you take away the cost of the expenses, and that equals the profit. And this author talks about actually switching that around, because sometimes when you look at the money that's in your account, you could think, oh, I've got plenty of money there, so I've just seen this beautiful machine that does everything for you, and it looks fantastic, and actually I look like I've got the money, so I'll spend it. But actually you may be forgetting that you've got that craft fair coming up where they want the money up front. You may find that you're going to run out of bags for the craft fair, or you've got to think about your petrol money to get there, or an overnight stay in a hotel if the craft fair's far away. We need a better idea than just what's left at the end once you've taken off expenses. So he talks about splitting when you get your money from an event and you've got your sort of takings, that we turn it round and we say that's instead of saying sales take away expenses equals profit, we say that sales minus profit equals expenses. So basically what he wants you to do is to make sure you take some money out of the business at each stage, even if it's a teeny weeny percent, even if it's £1, you take some money out at the beginning, because, and he gives many reasons for this, but one, it keeps you going, and one, it teaches you to take money out of the business rather than investing all the time. And I know with my business it is very easy just to keep thinking, oh well, I'm now making a profit on that, so now let's push the website, or let's push this, or let's get a different site. And you're always in reinvesting, and then before you know it, you've never taken any money out, or very little money out of the business. And I think a lot of big companies go under because of that, and certainly small companies do as well. Or people working really hard and they're not really getting any benefit from their money. They're not seeing any profit. So this author says, no, you must take some money out, even if it's only a small amount. And then he suggests that you split the revenue into buckets. or spaces. I have a Starling account, and within that I can make different buckets. So he suggests that you have a bucket for profit, a bucket for tax, a bucket for expenses, and a bucket for income. And you work out what percentage of all your takings do you need to put into each bucket. So you may decide, right, I'm going to put 25% in my tax bucket every time I make some money. I might put 5% into my profit. I spend this much on bills every month, so I need to be putting that away. And then when you look at your spaces, you know exactly how much you've got to spend and how much you've made. And certainly for the expenses bucket, you know that is spare money to spend on more materials and maybe the cost of running your business. And you know that everything else is covered, and you've also taken some money out. So that expenses pot is maybe not as big as you'd want it, but he talks about a certain law where you use everything up to the limit. So for example, if you have no idea what money you've really got that's spare, it's very easy, as I said, to buy the absolutely all singing dancing tool or beautiful fabric or whatever. But if you've got a limited budget, he's saying you can't buy it until you see you've got that much money in the expenses space. And it's amazing actually, because I have started following this. So for example, I just grabbed them, I ran out of my little brown paper bag, and for some reason I couldn't get to the wholesalers and money was a bit tight at that moment, and so I just put it off a week, and actually, you know, we managed. We used these, which are, I will try and work out the price and pop it up, but we used these instead. And then I asked people, do you need a bag? And a lot of times they didn't need a bag, or actually they did have a recycle bag. People nowadays are used to not being given bags at all, so when they're given one of these, they're usually thrilled. So it was amazing how I managed to go for a week without needing any of these bags. I mean, I did miss it occasionally, but you know, you just have to think a bit smarter and get a bit more creative. The analogy that's used in this book is about toothpaste, and that when you've only got a little bit of toothpaste, you really squeeze it out and you roll up the bottom and you really get the last drop of toothpaste out. But if you already had some toothpaste to hand, you'd probably thrown it away when you could have used it for another few days. And then when you get your new one, you put a great big dollop on, don't you? You don't eke it out, you just get very generous. So he's basically saying, treat some of your expenses like toothpaste and really stretch them and use them, and don't spend unless you really have to. So you mustn't spend on what you need, you must only spend on what you want. And even then, do you really want it? I mean, sorry, I said that the wrong way. Sorry, you must only spend on what you need, not on what you want. And even then, do you really need it? Do you really need it? Could you eke it out for another few months? Could you manage till you got a little bit more money in your pot? It's definitely worked for me. He's very adamant of the way to do it, and he's quite forceful because I listened to it on Audible, and he is very forceful. And don't tell him please, but I haven't done it fully his way. But I did get the Starling account, and I did set up a cash, a tax, a drawings and a profit space within it. And I use the book as a spur to take money out a bit more of my business, to recognise that I deserve, having set this up, to earn some money and to make life a bit easier. I am, despite having an amazing team, I am still the best employee, is what he says. Like, no one cares or works for your business as hard as you do. So you're busy looking after your team if you have a team, but you need to look after yourself as well. So you need to be making a profit, even if it's a small amount. So I'm just looking quickly for my notes. Have I got everything there? I'm going to put a link to the book because I do think it's worth reading, and I do think it's quite revolutionary really in how we deal with money. A lot of businesses get into the way of thinking that you've got to buy lots of things to make more sales. You get lots of sales, so you buy more things, you make more sales. You just make sure you don't get onto that sort of treadmill too much, that you start to look at carefully about taking some money out, spending less, thinking about what do you really need to grow your business. If you do buy something, it's got to pull its weight. It's got to bring you in the revenue. So be a little bit cynical. Try not to go shopping late at night for your business. You know, really give it some thought. Keep a tight rein on it. You don't want to overspend, because sometime you may need some sort of emergency fund. You may find your tax bill's bigger than you thought, or something else crops up, a special craft fair that you want to do that you hadn't banked on. So have some spare cash ready for those emergencies. And the problem is, if you're always going to buy more, sell more, and that, you're never actually going to take anything out. And it feels in some ways that although your sales are really good, you're not making any progress. So respect your craft and treat it like a proper business. Be careful with your money. Eke out what you've got. When you do that, you become more creative, you think smarter. So just give it a go and see how it, try for a couple of months and see how it goes. But I honestly think just shifting your mind like that will make a massive difference. So as I said, I'll put a link to the book, and if you have enjoyed what I've said and you're interested in learning more from me, please like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Thank you very much. Bye.